The southern border isn't just a political talking point anymore. It's become a pressure point where law enforcement capacity, resource allocation, and community safety converge in ways that directly impact your family's security. When border cities experience surges that overwhelm local infrastructure, when cartels exploit gaps in enforcement, when emergency services get stretched beyond their limits, the question isn't whether you should prepare, it's whether you've already waited too long. Right now, across Texas, families are facing realities that most Americans only see in news headlines: strained hospital systems, increased property crimes, gang activity spilling into residential areas, and local governments struggling to maintain basic services. This isn't fear-mongering. This is what happens when systems designed for normal operations face extraordinary sustained pressure. And if you're serious about protecting your family when institutions can't guarantee your safety, then subscribe now, because what you're about to learn could determine whether you're a victim or a survivor when chaos reaches your neighborhood. The Texas border situation represents something far more significant than immigration policy debates. It's a real-world case study in how quickly regional instability can cascade into local security breakdowns. Between 2021 and 2024, the U.S. Border Patrol recorded over 7 million encounters along the southern border, with Texas bearing the largest share of this influx. Eagle Pass, a Texas city of roughly 28,000 residents, saw over 2,000 migrant crossings in single days during peak periods in 2023. These aren't abstract statistics. They translate into overwhelmed detention facilities, hospital emergency rooms flooded with patients, schools struggling with sudden enrollment spikes, and law enforcement agencies operating at capacity limits for months without relief. When Del Rio's International Bridge became a temporary encampment for over 15,000 people in September 2021, the city's infrastructure buckled under demands it was never designed to handle. Grocery stores ran low on supplies, medical facilities couldn't keep pace with demand, and property crimes in surrounding areas increased as resources focused on managing the humanitarian crisis. This pattern repeats across border communities. When systems get overwhelmed at the border, the effects ripple inland, creating security vulnerabilities that criminals actively exploit. Understanding cartel operations is critical because these organizations don't respect borders or laws. They view instability as opportunity. The major cartels operating along the Texas border, particularly the Gulf Cartel, the Northeast Cartel, and Cartel del Noreste, generate billions annually through drug trafficking, human smuggling, and extortion. They employ sophisticated logistics, encrypted communications, and violent enforcement tactics that would impress military strategists. When border enforcement focuses resources on processing large groups of migrants, cartels deliberately create these surges in some areas to move high-value drug shipments through less monitored corridors. This isn't speculation. It's documented operational strategy confirmed by DEA intelligence reports and border security analyses. Fentanyl seizures at the southern border increased over 300% between 2020 and 2023. Yet those seizures represent only what authorities intercept. Estimates suggest 70–90% of smuggled drugs successfully cross. These criminal networks don't stop at the border. They establish distribution cells, stash houses, and enforcement operations deep into American territory. Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, all have documented cartel-connected operations. When you understand that your community could be on a trafficking route or near a distribution network, preparation stops being paranoia and becomes rational threat assessment. The security implications extend beyond cartel activity into broader social stability concerns. When communities experience rapid demographic changes without corresponding resource increases, social cohesion strains. Schools in border towns have reported classroom sizes doubling, with teachers struggling to provide instruction when 40% of students don't speak English and arrive with educational gaps from interrupted schooling. Hospital emergency rooms in McAllen and Laredo regularly operate at 150–200% capacity, with wait times extending beyond 8 hours for non-critical cases. These aren't just inconveniences. They represent system failures that cascade into security vulnerabilities. When police response times increase because officers are tied up with border-related calls, property crimes increase. When hospitals can't handle routine emergencies promptly, preventable deaths occur. When schools can't maintain educational standards, entire generations face diminished opportunities, creating future instability. You need to understand that societal breakdown doesn't announce itself with sirens and emergency broadcasts. It creeps in through degraded services, longer wait times, increased crime rates, and the slow erosion of the social contract that keeps communities functional. So how do you actually protect your family when these pressures reach critical mass? First, abandon the assumption that authorities will handle it. Law enforcement in border counties often operates with officer-to-resident ratios half the national average, and during crisis periods, response times can stretch to 45 minutes or more for non-emergency calls. In rural areas near the border, some residents report waiting hours for police response. This isn't criticism of officers. It's mathematical reality when departments built for 30,000 residents suddenly serve populations that functionally doubled. Your security begins with accepting that during peak crisis periods, you are your family's first and possibly only line of defense for minutes or hours until help arrives. This mental shift is critical because it changes how you assess risk, prepare your property, and train your family. If you haven't internalized this reality, you're operating with peacetime assumptions in an environment that increasingly doesn't match those conditions. Home security in high-risk environments requires layered, defense-in-depth strategies that create multiple barriers between threats and your family. Perimeter security starts with clear sight lines. Trim vegetation within 20 feet of your home so intruders can't approach unseen. Install motion-activated lighting around all entry points because criminals overwhelmingly prefer targets that offer concealment. Fencing should be at least 6 feet high with anti-climb features. Barbed wire on top is legal in most Texas counties and dramatically reduces unauthorized entry attempts. Gate locks need to be heavy-duty and visible. Criminals assess targets based on effort-to-reward ratios, and obvious security measures make them move to easier opportunities. Window security film is inexpensive but makes glass significantly harder to breach quietly. Most burglars want entry within 60 seconds, or they abort. Reinforce door frames with steel strike plates secured with 3-inch screws into wall studs because standard builder-grade installations fail with one solid kick. These aren't extreme measures. They're standard practices in any environment where property crime rates exceed national averages, which describes most Texas border counties. Surveillance systems provide critical early warning and evidence documentation. Modern systems offer 4K resolution cameras with night vision, motion detection, and cloud storage for under $500. Position cameras to cover all approach routes to your home, with overlapping coverage on entry points. Many people make the mistake of only covering their front door. Criminals know this and enter through back doors, side windows, or garages. Your system should capture clear facial recognition quality footage at all potential entry points within 15 feet. Store footage off-site via cloud backup, because if intruders do enter, they often destroy or steal recording devices. Link your camera system to your smartphone with instant motion alerts. Seconds of warning can mean the difference between being ambushed in your living room and having time to arm yourself and secure family members in a safe room. Test your system monthly. Security equipment fails when neglected. And discovering your cameras haven't recorded for 3 weeks during an incident investigation is worthless. Interior security planning centers on the safe room concept, a designated space with reinforced security where your family can shelter during a home invasion while awaiting law enforcement response. For most homes, this is a bedroom with a solid core door, upgraded locks, and a communication plan. Reinforce the door frame and install a heavy-duty deadbolt that locks from the inside. Keep a charged cell phone in the room at all times for emergency calls. Store defensive tools appropriate to your training and legal in your jurisdiction. This might include firearms for those legally able and properly trained, pepper spray, tactical flashlights, and impact weapons. The safe room should have supplies for at least 30 minutes of self-sufficiency: water, first aid kit, flashlight, and any critical medications. Drill your family on the response plan. At the sound of forced entry, everyone moves immediately to the safe room, locks the door, calls 911, and does not emerge until police confirm it's safe. This isn't Hollywood heroics, it's threat avoidance. Your goal isn't confronting intruders, it's creating time and barriers until professional help arrives. Vehicle security and travel protocols become critical in unstable regions. Carjacking rates in border cities run 2-3 times the national average because vehicles are valuable commodities for smuggling operations. Never leave your vehicle running unattended, even for 30 seconds. Modern vehicles can be driven away in that time. Park in well-lit areas with good visibility and active foot traffic. Before entering your vehicle, scan the area for loiterers or suspicious vehicles, and check your back seat before entry. Keep doors locked immediately upon entering. The few seconds between sitting down and locking doors are when you're most vulnerable. Maintain at least half a tank of fuel always because emergency evacuations don't wait for convenient refueling opportunities. Store an emergency kit in your vehicle. Water for 3 days, non-perishable food, first aid supplies, flashlight, basic tools, and emergency cash. If you're approached at a stoplight or in parking areas by aggressive individuals, your vehicle is your escape tool. Do not exit, lock doors, and drive away even if it means minor traffic violations. Your life is worth more than a citation. Travel timing and route selection matter more than most people realize. Avoid traveling at night in border regions whenever possible because smuggling operations intensify after dark and law enforcement visibility decreases. If you must travel at night, stick to major highways with consistent traffic and avoid rural routes where help is scarce. Research your routes in advance and identify safe havens, police stations, fire stations, well-lit gas stations with security, every 20-30 miles where you can seek help if followed or threatened. Share your travel plans with someone not traveling with you, including expected route and arrival time. So if you don't check in, someone knows to alert authorities. Keep your smartphone charged with a car charger and consider a backup power bank. If you're followed, don't drive home. You'll lead threats directly to your family. Instead, drive to the nearest police station or well-populated public area. Call 911 while driving and inform them you're being followed. Make 4 consecutive right turns. If the vehicle is still behind you, it's deliberate pursuit, not coincidence. Community intelligence networks provide early warning that individual families can't achieve alone. Get to know your neighbors well enough that unusual activity gets noticed and reported. Establish communication channels. This might be a neighborhood text group, WhatsApp chat, or even old-school phone trees. Share information about suspicious vehicles, unfamiliar individuals asking questions about neighbors, or patterns like the same car driving through at unusual hours. Border area communities with active neighborhood watch programs report 30-40% lower property crime rates than similar communities without organized vigilance. This isn't nosiness. It's collective security through shared awareness. Criminals avoid neighborhoods where residents clearly communicate and watch out for each other because the risk of detection increases dramatically. During crisis periods when law enforcement is stretched thin, your neighborhood network may be your most valuable early warning system. Understanding the legal framework for self-defense in Texas is non-negotiable, because making the right tactical decision in a crisis means nothing if you spend the next decade in prison for not understanding the law. Texas law allows use of deadly force to protect yourself or others from imminent death or serious bodily injury, to prevent aggravated kidnapping, murder, sexual assault, aggravated sexual assault, robbery, or aggravated robbery. The Castle Doctrine extends this to your home, vehicle, and workplace. You have no duty to retreat and can presume someone forcibly entering these spaces intends harm. However, you cannot use deadly force solely to protect property, unless it's during nighttime to prevent arson, burglary, robbery, theft, or criminal mischief, and you reasonably believe lesser force would expose you or others to serious injury risk. These distinctions matter enormously in the seconds when you must make decisions, and in the months afterward when district attorneys review your actions. Take a reputable self-defense law course from attorneys who specialize in this area. Your instructor at the range may know firearms, but legal expertise requires actual lawyers. Firearms ownership for home defense requires serious commitment to training, safety, and legal compliance. If you choose to own firearms, understand that possession without competence is dangerous to you and your family. Minimum competency means you can safely load, unload, clear malfunctions, and accurately engage targets under stress at typical home defense distances of 315 feet. This requires regular practice, at least quarterly range time with realistic scenarios, not just standing still shooting at paper. Consider low-light training because most home invasions occur at night when visibility is compromised. Secure your firearms in quick-access safes that prevent unauthorized access while allowing rapid deployment. Fingerprint or mechanical combination. Safes can be opened in 2-3 seconds by authorized users while keeping guns away from children or intruders who search your home. Store ammunition separately from firearms if children are in the home, but keep defensive ammunition readily available in your safe with your defensive firearm. Every family member old enough to encounter a firearm must receive age-appropriate safety training. Even young children need to know, don't touch, leave the area, tell an adult protocols. Non-lethal defensive options deserve serious consideration, especially for family members uncomfortable with or legally prohibited from firearm ownership. Quality pepper spray with 2 million Scoville heat units can incapacitate an attacker for 20-45 minutes at ranges up to 15 feet. Practice with inert training versions so you understand spray patterns and distance limitations. Tactical flashlights with 1,000+ lumens can temporarily blind and disorient attackers while illuminating threats for identification. Personal alarms generating 120+ decibel sounds can deter attackers who prefer stealth and alert neighbors to emergencies. Baseball bats, heavy flashlights, and other impact weapons require close quarters engagement, which is risky, but they're better than nothing if that's your only option. The key is matching your defensive tools to your training, physical capabilities, and legal situation. A firearm you're afraid to use or don't know how to operate effectively is worse than pepper spray you've practiced with and will actually deploy when needed. Medical preparedness is critical because in crisis situations, professional medical help may be delayed or unavailable. The average emergency response time in Texas border counties during normal operations ranges from 8-14 minutes. During surge events, this can extend to 45 minutes or more. In that time, someone can bleed to death from injuries that are survivable with immediate intervention. Every family should have at least one member trained in stop-the-bleed techniques. This is a free 90-minute course offered nationwide that teaches tourniquet application, wound packing, and pressure techniques to control severe bleeding. Maintain a trauma kit with CAT or soft TW tourniquets, hemostatic gauze, pressure bandages, chest seals, and trauma shears. These supplies cost $100–150, but can save lives when minutes matter. Learn CPR and basic first aid through American Red Cross or similar organizations. Certification takes a day but provides skills that remain relevant for life. Stock advanced first aid supplies beyond basic bandages, antibiotics if you can legally obtain them, prescription pain medications, anti-diarrheal drugs, and treatments for common infections. Understand that in extended crisis scenarios, you may need to treat injuries and illnesses that would normally require doctor visits. Food and water security planning takes on urgent importance when you understand how fragile supply chains really are. Most grocery stores operate on just-in-time inventory systems with 3–5 days of stock on shelves. During panic buying or supply disruptions, stores can empty in hours. During February 2021's Texas winter storm crisis, grocery stores across the state were stripped bare within 48 hours. Families without food storage faced genuine hunger while waiting for supply chains to resume. Maintain at minimum a 30-day food supply of shelf-stable items your family actually eats: rice, beans, canned vegetables, canned meats, pasta, cooking oil, and basic seasonings. Rotate your stock using FIFO methods so nothing expires unused. Calculate 1 gallon of water per person per day for drinking and basic hygiene. A family of 4 needs 120 gallons for a 30-day supply. Store water in food-grade containers away from sunlight and chemicals and rotate every 6–12 months. Have water purification methods as backup. Quality filters like Sawyer or LifeStraw can process thousands of gallons from questionable sources, and purification tablets are inexpensive insurance. In border regions where municipal water systems already operate near capacity, disruptions from infrastructure damage or overwhelming demand are realistic scenarios you must prepare for. Power security means having backup systems when the grid fails. Texas's independent grid has shown vulnerability during extreme weather events, and in border regions, aging infrastructure serves populations beyond design capacity. A modest generator, 3,500–5,000 watts, can run essential appliances during outages: refrigerator, freezer, a few lights, phone chargers, and a fan or small heater depending on season. Gasoline generators are affordable but require fuel storage and rotation. Propane generators offer longer-term fuel storage stability. Solar generators with expandable battery banks have become cost-competitive and require no fuel, though capacity is lower. Whatever system you choose, test it monthly because discovering your generator won't start during a 100-degree blackout is too late. Store adequate fuel legally and safely. Gasoline stabilizers extend shelf life from 3-6 months to 12-24 months. Have manual alternatives for critical functions, hand crank radio for emergency information, battery-powered fans, and ways to cook without electricity like camping stoves or charcoal grills used outdoors. Financial preparedness often gets overlooked but becomes critical during regional instability. Keep emergency cash at home in small bills. $1,000 minimum split between 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s. During crises, electronic payment systems may fail, ATMs may be empty or offline, and businesses may operate cash only. Have physical copies of critical documents in waterproof, fireproof storage, identification, property deeds, insurance policies, medical records, and financial account information. Digital backups should be stored securely off-site or in encrypted cloud storage. Maintain enough liquid savings to cover 3-6 months of expenses because border region economies can collapse quickly during extended crises. Businesses close, employers cut hours or lay off workers, and financial pressure compounds security stress. Diversify where possible. Don't keep all assets in one bank or one form. This isn't prepping extremism. It's the same advice financial planners give for normal emergency preparedness, just more urgent in unstable regions. Communication planning ensures family coordination during emergencies when cell networks may be overloaded or down. During major crisis events, cellular networks quickly become congested as everyone tries to call simultaneously. Text messages often get through when voice calls fail because they require less bandwidth. Establish primary and backup communication plans with family members. If separated during an emergency, where do you meet? If phones don't work, what's the backup plan? Identify an out-of-state contact everyone can try to reach. During regional disasters, long-distance calls often work when local calls fail. Invest in a quality emergency radio capable of receiving NOAA weather alerts and AM/FM broadcasts for official information when internet and TV are unavailable. Consider FRS/GMRS radios for family communication within 2-5 miles when cell networks are down. These don't require licensing for FRS frequencies and provide direct communication independent of infrastructure. Program important numbers into all family members' phones and keep a written copy in your emergency kit because during stress, memory fails. Children require age-appropriate preparation without inducing paralyzing fear. Young children need to understand basic safety rules: who the trusted adults are, what to do if separated from parents, how to call 911, and that emergencies require immediate obedience without argument. Practice your safe room drill as a routine activity, not a terrifying event. Explain that just like fire drills at school, home safety drills help everyone stay safe. Older children and teenagers can handle more detailed information and responsibility. Teach them situational awareness, paying attention to surroundings, identifying exits wherever they are, recognizing suspicious behavior, and trusting their instincts when something feels wrong. Assign them specific roles in family emergency plans. This gives them agency and purpose rather than helplessness. Make sure teenagers know how to contact emergency services, basic first aid, and family rally points. The goal is confident preparedness, not anxious paranoia. Kids who understand risks and know how to respond handle actual emergencies better than those kept ignorant and unprepared. Evacuation planning is essential because some scenarios require leaving rather than sheltering. Identify evacuation routes heading away from the border into safer inland areas. Have at least 3 different routes planned because major roads may be blocked or gridlocked. Know where you're going. Pre-arrange with friends or family in safer areas, or identify hotels or other accommodations outside the crisis zone. Pack go bags for every family member with 72 hours of supplies. Clothing, toiletries, medications, copies of documents, cash, water, snacks, phone chargers, and comfort items for children. Keep these bags accessible and update them seasonally as kids grow and needs change. Include pet supplies if you have animals because you're not leaving them behind. Maintain vehicle readiness, good tires, recent maintenance, full fuel tanks. Practice your evacuation plan at least annually. Actually drive the routes and time how long they take under normal conditions, then add 50-100% for crisis congestion. Understand that if authorities issue evacuation orders, leave immediately. Those who wait until the last minute get trapped in traffic and caught in the emergency they tried to escape. Intelligence gathering and threat assessment are ongoing processes, not one-time planning. Follow local news sources, law enforcement social media, and Border Patrol sector updates. Understand the threat trends in your specific area. Crime patterns, cartel activity, migrant flow changes, and resource stress on local systems. Border security conditions aren't static. They fluctuate based on policy changes, seasonal patterns, Mexican cartel conflicts, and conditions in source countries. What was safe 6 months ago may be high risk now. Join community information networks through local emergency management agencies, neighborhood associations, or even local prepper groups. The more information sources you have, the better you can assess actual risk versus media hype. Learn to distinguish between sensationalized coverage and actionable intelligence. If 3 separate sources report increased smuggling activity in your area, that's signal. If one national news outlet runs a scary story about something 200 miles away, that's noise unless it indicates a trend heading your way. Mental and emotional preparation might be the most important element because panic kills. People die in emergencies not because they lack resources, but because they freeze, make irrational decisions, or surrender to fear. Building mental resilience starts with realistic scenario visualization. Think through what you would actually do if someone broke into your home at 2 a.m. Walk through your response step by step. This mental rehearsal builds neural pathways that help you respond automatically under stress rather than freezing. Practice stress inoculation through challenging physical activities. If you never experience elevated heart rate and controlled fear in training, you'll be overwhelmed when it happens in crisis. Maintain physical fitness appropriate to your age and capabilities because everything is harder when you're exhausted and out of shape. Develop stress management practices, whether that's meditation, prayer, exercise, or time in nature, that keep you emotionally regulated during normal times so you have resilience reserves during crises. Strong families and communities survive crises better than isolated individuals. Invest in relationships that provide mutual support and shared capability. Legal preparation for potential conflict scenarios requires professional legal consultation before you need it. Identify criminal defense attorneys in your area who specialize in self-defense cases. Many offer pre-incident consultations where they explain your legal situation and provide emergency contact information. Some attorneys offer prepaid legal insurance specifically for self-defense situations, covering initial representation costs. Understand that if you're involved in a defensive use of force, you will likely be arrested, questioned, and possibly charged even if your actions were legally justified. Know your rights. You are not required to answer questions without an attorney present beyond basic identification. The phrase, "I want to speak with my attorney before answering questions," is your most important legal protection. Document everything relevant to your security preparations, training certifications, receipts for security equipment, timestamps on surveillance footage, and records of threats or suspicious activity reported to police. This documentation supports your claim that you were a reasonable person taking reasonable precautions, not a paranoid aggressor looking for confrontation. Insurance review ensures financial protection when physical protection fails. Homeowners or renters insurance should have replacement cost coverage, not actual cash value, and sufficient liability coverage, minimum $500,000, preferably $1 million or more. Umbrella policies provide additional liability coverage inexpensively. Review your policies annually and understand what's covered and what's excluded. Flood insurance requires separate policies and has 30-day waiting periods, so don't wait until storms are forecasted. Document your possessions with photos or video of every room, including closets and storage areas, with receipts for valuable items stored securely off-site. If you suffer losses from fire, theft, or disaster, this documentation determines whether you receive $20,000 or $100,000 in claims. Vehicle insurance in high-crime areas should include comprehensive coverage for theft and vandalism. Understand that insurance doesn't prevent losses but reduces financial catastrophe when losses occur. The border situation will continue evolving, influenced by factors beyond any individual's control. Political policies, economic conditions in Central and South America, cartel dynamics, and resource allocation decisions. What you can control is your family's readiness to handle the second and third order effects when those factors create instability in your region. This isn't about politics or immigration opinions. It's about operational security in an environment where systems are stressed and traditional safety assumptions may not hold. Every day you delay preparation is a day closer to needing those preparations without having them in place. The families who survive crises best aren't necessarily the strongest or most heavily armed. They're the ones who prepared realistically, trained consistently, and maintained awareness without paranoia. And if you want to go deeper into specific aspects of border region security, detailed threat assessments for your particular area, or step-by-step implementation guides for the strategies covered here, check the pinned comment below where you'll find resources that take your preparedness from basic to comprehensive. These documents and guides provide the technical details, equipment recommendations, and advanced planning frameworks that we couldn't cover in this video, but that serious preppers need to truly secure their families against the chaos that border instability can create. The question isn't whether instability will reach inland from the border. It already has in countless communities across Texas and the Southwest. The question is whether you'll be ready when it reaches yours, or whether you'll join the unprepared majority hoping someone else solves problems that are already at their doorstep. Your family's security is your responsibility, and that responsibility demands action, not just awareness. The time to prepare is while stores are stocked, systems still function, and you have the luxury of thoughtful planning rather than panicked reaction. Don't wait until your neighbor's house is broken into, until your local hospital can't treat your child, or until law enforcement tells you they can't respond for 90 minutes. By then, you're not preparing. You're coping with consequences you could have mitigated. Take this seriously, start today, and build the layers of security that turn your family from potential victims into resilient survivors, no matter what chaos unfolds around you.